Hello everyone, my name is Mike and I am a 3D artist and a solo maker of one tool which is truly impressive. But let me start from the idea behind it. Texturing is one of those parts of 3D production that can quietly eat a lot of time. You finish a model, the topology is fine, the UVs are ready, and then you still have to spend hours making it look good. And if you have one hero asset, that's okay. But if you have 20 props, environment pieces, furniture, weapons, product variations, or background assets, the texturing stage can slow down the entire project. That is the problem TextureFast is built for. TextureFast is an AI texturing tool for UV-unwrapped 3D models. The idea is simple. You already have the model, you describe the look you want, choose a style, and generate texture maps much faster than doing everything manually from scratch. But I don't want to present this like AI magically replaces artists, because that's not really the point. For me, the value is much more practical. TextureFast is one of the assets where you need a good-looking result quickly. Props, prototypes, game-ready objects, archviz details, background assets, client mockups, visual tests. The kind of work where spending hours on every single material is not always the best use of time. Here is the workflow. I have a UV-unwrapped model. I open it in TextureFast, write a short prompt, choose the style and quality level, and generate the base color. After that, I can create the rest of the PBR maps. Normal, roughness, ambient occlusion, height, and other maps I need for a standard 3D or game engine workflow. So instead of building everything manually from zero, I can very quickly explore different directions. Maybe the object should look like warm painted metal, maybe it should be stylized, maybe it should feel like a mobile game asset, maybe it needs to be more realistic, more dirty, more clean, more fantasy, more sci-fi. I can test those ideas in minutes, not hours. And this is especially useful when you are still searching for the art direction. Early in production, you usually don't need the final perfect texture. You need options. You need to see what works. You need to show something to a client or an art director or your team and make decisions faster. But there is one part of TextureFast that I think is even more important than speed: privacy. A lot of AI tools require you to upload your full 3D model somewhere. And for personal projects, maybe that feels fine, but for professional work, that can be a serious problem. If you work with client assets, unreleased products, game characters, vehicles, architecture, licensed IP, or anything under NDA, you usually cannot just send the full 3D model to a third-party service. You don't want the model stored somewhere. You don't want it to be used to train AI. You don't want the risk of it being leaked, copied, or resold. TextureFast is designed around avoiding that problem. In this workflow, the actual 3D geometry stays local. Your mesh, vertices, faces, materials, and animation data do not need to leave your machine. TextureFast only uses the UV layout and your text prompt to generate the texture. That difference is huge, because a UV layout is not the same as giving away the client's 3D model. You are not handing over the full asset. You are not sending the confidential geometry to the cloud, and that makes the tool much more realistic for professional teams who care about security, NDA restrictions, and client trust. For companies, this is not just a nice feature, it can be the reason they are allowed to use the tool at all. A studio might like AI texturing, but if the workflow requires uploading client models, legal or production team may immediately say no. With TextureFast, the privacy-first workflow removes that risk from the beginning. Of course, this doesn't mean every generated texture will be perfect on the first try. Like any automated tool, the quality depends on the UVs, the model, and the prompt. Some assets may need another generation, a better prompt, or a little manual cleanup afterwards. But that is completely fine, because the goal is not to remove artistic judgment. The goal is to remove repetitive work and speed up the parts of texturing where you don't need to spend a full day. For me, the best way to think about TextureFast is this. It is not trying to be a giant 3D suite. It is not trying to generate the whole model from scratch. It is focused on one specific job: take an existing UV-unwrapped model and help you texture it quickly, safely, and in production-friendly way. That focus is what makes it useful. If you are an indie developer, it helps you create more assets with less time. If you are an archviz artist, it helps you iterate on client feedback faster. If you are working in a studio, it can help with internal assets, prototypes, and large batches of props. And if you are working under NDA, the fact that your 3D model stays private is probably the most important point. So in this video, I showed you the workflow from inside the TextureFast web app and generated full PBR maps from start to finish. I showed how I set up the model, how I write the prompt, how I generate the base color, and how the PBR maps are applied. And while I'm doing that, keep this in mind: the real value here is not just that it is fast. The real value is that it gives you AI-powered texturing without giving away your 3D models. That is what makes TextureFast different. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video.